Well, hey everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel. My name is Emmaus.
And I'm Hannah.
And today we're going to share with you 5 tips on saving money if you're planning a trip to Hawaii. So earlier this month, Hannah and I had the opportunity to go to Oahu, Hawaii to capture some footage for a company and also spend some time together. So we had a great time going there. So Hannah, what was your favorite part of the trip?
God's beautiful creation. It's stunning. Everywhere you look, left, right, east, west. I mean, it's gorgeous.
It was beautiful.
Not one thing ugly about the trip.
I know. It was so pretty. It was, whenever I was planning the whole trip as a surprise for Hannah, the one thing I always heard from people is like, it's so expensive. It costs so much money to go on the trip. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, well, let's see if there's some ways that it can maybe be not as expensive as people think. Because I didn't want to spend like $10,000 on vacation or anything crazy like that, or even for a business trip. That'd just be crazy to spend that much money on something like that. So what I wanted to do is go ahead and share with you guys today some tips on how to save money if you're wanting to plan a trip to Hawaii. So tip number 1 is to get a rental car. Absolutely 100% recommend. It was probably 25 to 30% of our trip's budget was getting a rental car. And at first I'm like, that's so lame. Like, wouldn't I rather spend that on adventures or doing other things, and I'll just take Uber? And now I completely understand why. One of my friends said on the island of Oahu, sometimes there's only one Uber driver available. And I was like, oh my goodness, okay, we definitely need like a rental car. But even aside from that fact, it was just great to have one because sometimes like half of our day's adventures were just driving around the island. We just wanted to go drive and see this beach. We wanted to drive 30 minutes and see this beach. And we just had a wonderful time getting to just drive around. And honestly, that was able to save us a lot of money because if we had to take Ubers everywhere, first of all, we have the cost of Ubers. And second of all, we'd want to spend more money on different excursions. Like, oh, wow, let's do this zip line. Let's do this rock wall. Let's do this adventure, this guided tour if we're just Ubering everywhere. But honestly, since we had a car and we could just spend half the day driving around and looking at different sites that were like free to see, in the end, it ended up saving us some money. Now, in terms of a rental car, I do recommend some type of EV, like electric vehicle, if you can, because gas is a little more expensive on the island. Wasn't it like $5.20?
Yeah, it was like $5.20.
Yeah, it definitely costs like a little bit more in gas. But if you get an EV, we did get a Tesla. It was actually only a couple dollars more per day. And of course, the supercharger or the like charging for the car was maybe like $13 to $15 per fill up. So it definitely saved us a lot of money that way. It definitely evened out if we were going to get a cheaper gas car versus a Tesla. It definitely saved us money getting an electric vehicle. I do recommend getting a Tesla or an electric vehicle that has a longer range because even though the island is like, let's say, an hour from like top to bottom, there's just like a lot of driving on the island. So make sure you get a car that is either electric or just be prepared to spend money in gas.
Yes, that's a great tip. I remember we opened up the Uber app and we were like, what if we Ubered?
Yeah. How
much would it be? And it was like $30, $40, $50 just to drive like a couple miles down the road.
Crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a good tip, and I would highly recommend Turo to anybody traveling to Hawaii or any other destination. That's a great company. Number 2 is choose one excursion that like you've been wanting to do, that's like at the top of your list, instead of doing 2, 3, 4 excursions, because those can get pricey, especially per person. We knew going down there that we wanted to do a helicopter ride, and we saw that Hawaii had lots of options, but we went with Magnum helicopters, and they took great care of us.
Phenomenal.
I mean, over the top reviews, like we'll leave them all the time. And then spending all your other days, whether it's hiking or swimming at the lagoon or
stuff that's cheaper,
tanning on a beach, something that doesn't cost a lot of money, because it doesn't cost any money to hike to the top of an island and park at some random.
Well, it costs like $10 for parking.
Well, that's true, but I mean, when you weigh the prices,
absolutely,
hiking is way cheaper.
Yes, well, I definitely agree because like whenever I was planning the trip, even before you knew, I was like, oh my goodness, they have like a zip line, they have these jet skis, they have a helicopter ride, and I quickly did the math. It was like, yeah, that's like a lot of money. How can we afford this? And I was like, how about we just choose one, and then we'll spend honestly the rest of our time doing stuff that's either free or cheap. Like if we went to the lagoon at the Marriott, there's like public access area, and we drove about 45 minutes to get there. Our parking was $17 for the day, and we spent like the whole afternoon there. And it was wonderful. We just laid there on the beach and we had fun. We went swimming. I went to inside the like hotel restaurants so I could get like lunch for us and bring it back out on the beach. And I was like, we were able to save a good bit of money by doing stuff that didn't really cost a lot of money. So essentially, just choose one excursion, or even if you're really trying to save even more money, there's
don't do any
you just don't have to do any excursions. Just being there in God's beautiful creation is more than enough for an amazing trip. So tip number 3 is to eat wisely, and not with just like veggies or like drinking water instead of soda or diet instead of regular. I'm not talking about that, even though that is healthier, but in terms of eating wisely financially, because some people may want to get on me for this, but whenever we travel, I'm not really for like eating at all of the like local places all the time. And I know some people are saying whenever you travel, you have to eat at all like the local places. It's better never eat at a chain. And I guess that's fine, but something I realized is that the local places just cost more money. And I'm not saying that they're like bad or evil for doing that. They have to make a living. But for us, we went to go have breakfast at this place. It was I think our first full day there. We woke up, looked it up on like Apple Maps. I was like, oh cool, it's like a 5-minute walk away. How about we go do it? And to get like some pancakes and 1 egg each and water was like $60.
I was like, in the moment, I thought it was like really cool because I was like, this atmosphere, it's cool in Hawaii. But in the end, I mean, that was almost 2 meals.
Oh, exactly.
That is 2 meals.
Exactly. Two or like 2.5 meals.
So.
And honestly, at that point, we had to make a choice. We said, okay, like, we're going to be humble and say, we can't afford to do this for every meal. We just can't do that. It would not be a wise choice. And what we did is we went to Chick-fil-A that was in the food court of the mall, and we got Cobb salads. And our meal came out to maybe $25.
For lunch.
Yeah, I'm sorry, for lunch. For $25 or $27. For breakfast, we went to Target. We got some Pop-Tarts. And we had water from the hotel, or we bought like a gallon of like nice purified water from Target. And we had breakfast there. Or we went to McDonald's and we got some biscuits or made their breakfast. And it was just cheaper. And I know some people are like, no, you have to eat the local spots. And well, I guess if that's something that's important to you, then maybe you don't do an excursion, or maybe you do less excursions. And then for some people, the helicopter ride, probably they're like, who cares about that? I just want to eat at local places all the time. Then that's totally fine if that's important to you. But I just want to at least let you know, whenever you travel somewhere, don't feel obligated to have to eat at all these local places that all these blog spots tell you to, because it really adds up.
It does. It does. And if you've never had the McDonald's apples, you're missing out. I think they were like 50 cents for the kids' bag.
It was so childish.
And one morning, I remember I got a biscuit, like a plain biscuit. So it was like $1.25 or something. And I got 2 bags of the kids' apples. And I think my breakfast was like $2.50.
Amazing.
And I got a water. And I was like, this is so cheap. Like, this feels like I'm in Belmont. Charlotte. Tip number 4 is choose the right hotel. I know for us, we didn't want to stay in the hotel a ton of the time. We wanted to be exploring and going out around just to see the beautiful island. We didn't want to stay in our room.
In our rental car.
We didn't want to stay in our room the whole time. And so we were like, well, why don't we pick a cheaper hotel, which doesn't mean it's going to be the cheapest, but it's not the most expensive. It's not the most bougie. We're just sleeping there. We got a shower there.
Yeah.
And
it had to be safe.
Yeah, you got to have a locked door. But those were all the requirements that we had for this trip for a hotel. So we were like, well, how about we stay at Hotel LaCroix? And I mean, it had a beautiful pool. I think it was a 3 or 4 star hotel.
Yeah.
So just an average hotel that you're gonna.
How much was it?
$150 a night.
Yeah, I think it was like $150 a night plus your resort fee and parking and all that stuff.
We didn't even go to the pool any.
We didn't
because we were out. We weren't at the hotel.
I mean, we sometimes finished our adventure. We got to the hotel at 9-10 p.m.
We showered. Like, let's go to bed.
We showered. We went to bed. Yeah. We woke up and said, yeah, it's adventure time. Yeah, and we left the hotel.
Yeah, we didn't
go to their like sauna or pool or really anything there. It was just a
great
place.
Amenities. But
yeah, which is fine. But we have a pool and hotels here in Gastonia and Charlotte.
Yeah.
So, but that was something that's key for us, is choosing the right hotel. And then the Marriott that had the public lagoon, I was like, this is such a beautiful hotel. Let me see how much this cost. And I looked it up to find the cheapest room that they offered, and it was $900 a night.
That's crazy.
And both of us were like, we made the right choice.
Good.
And honestly, one day we would like to go back and stay somewhere like that.
Yeah, but it just wasn't in the budget.
Yeah, it wasn't in the budget, and it wouldn't have been a wise choice for this season. So definitely stay somewhere affordable, definitely safe. Never compromise your safety for it, or your wife's safety. But it was totally worth it. Worth it.
And I want to say, like, don't compromise your, like, not going to somewhere you want to travel because of the price. I mean, rearrange your trip and your priorities to see what we can afford and what you can and what you can't afford. because we could afford to go to Hawaii, but we couldn't afford to do everything.
Exactly.
You know, so, but we did what was important to us.
Yes. And definitely tip number 5 to saving money. This is a big one right here, but it's to plan out your trip. And you're probably like, well, yeah, duh, that makes sense.
Why wouldn't you?
And honestly, we tried to plan some things, but I wish we would have done more planning. And I'll give you an example. As you see this map on the screen right here, we stayed in Waikiki, which was a really populated area. Think of it as such as like Myrtle Beach in South Carolina, where prices are probably a tad bit cheaper in terms of hotels and resorts. But there's definitely like a lot together. But as you see up here on the very north part of the island of Oahu, which is called the North Shore, it was a lot less crowded. It had prettier beaches, at least in my opinion. It was just a very beautiful area, but it was about 50 minutes away, which is totally fine with because we were prepared. Sweet, we'll wake up, I don't know, 8, 9 a.m. We're going to wake up and then we'll go ahead and drive up to the North Shore. But then once we got to the North Shore, we said, wait a second, we need to charge our car. And then the charger is about 30 minutes back towards Waikiki. Then we said, oh, wait, we want to go have dinner at this place. Oh, that's on actually the like West Shore. Oh, we want to go to the lagoon. Actually, that's like a little further away from the supercharger. And there's just a lot of, honestly, like driving that could have been saved if we would have planned out our trip a little better. So before you go, honestly, even if it's just on the notes app on your phone, just plan out what you want to do and go ahead and look and see what's around the area that you want to do. And just like Hannah was saying, don't let the price of something keep you away from actually traveling and going somewhere. And you're like, okay, well, how does that work? Well, I'll tell you, the most expensive part of going to a place like Hawaii is, first of all, your flights, which honestly, that can't be avoided unless you're going to swim there. Your flights are the most...
Are you swimming?
I am not.
I'm not swimming.
No. But the flights are the most expensive, and the second most expensive part of going to a trip like Hawaii, unless you do these crazy excursions, are the amount of days that you stay. Now, of course, if you're going to fly halfway across the world, you don't want to stay for just 2 nights. I would definitely recommend saving up, paying for it in cash. Do not finance a trip, or I'll say anything like this, but save up for it as long as you need to. And I wouldn't stay for 2 nights, but if you can't afford it, I wouldn't stay for 7 nights. I would find somewhere right in the middle, probably between 3 to 6 nights. If you're trying to save money, or you're like, again, you're saving money that you prepare for a trip, or you're on a budget and you're really trying to make a trip memorable, I would recommend somewhere between 3 to 6 nights, probably even on like the 5 to 6 side. But honestly, if you're going to stay for a week to a week and a half to even 2 weeks, you better bet it's going to be expensive. I mean, if you go to any city in America and stay that long, it's going to be expensive. So definitely plan out your trip and just plan accordingly. You can even bring your own snacks with you. You can do less or even no excursions. Eat wisely, choose the right hotel, get a rental car. There's all these things that you can do to save money. And honestly, we had a wonderful time without swiping our debit card that much.
Can I add something?
Oh, please do.
So I know we didn't plan for a tip number 6 because we only had 5 written down on our little
share. I'm excited.
But I would say tip number 6 is through the airport, they don't like take away your snacks. I know they take away like your water and everything that's a liquid, but anything that's not a liquid, like a snack like Pop-Tarts or chips or Mentos, Tic Tacs, anything like that, put it in a snack bag and take it through the airport in case you get hungry on the flight. You're sitting in the airport.
Like me.
You have your snack bag ready. It's in your carry-on. Because I know the snacks at the airport, they can be $5, $6, $7 for just like a bag of chips or a bag of Chex-Mix. And that adds up. I mean, you spend $50 on snacks in the airport and you're like, well, that could have gotten me 2 meals in Hawaii. So I know I got a snack bag, and it sounds like momish or...
She took care of me. I didn't have to buy snacks in the airport except for I wanted some like Mentos at one point. I was like, sorry, we forgot those.
I know,
it saves so much money.
I got a snack bag and you got one. So we had our own, and we were able to eat whenever we wanted, whenever we were hungry. So thank you guys so much for watching our tips that are going to be great for when you plan your next trip to Hawaii about budgeting and things you shouldn't do. But I hope these 6 tips can help you plan your next trip.
So I hope you guys follow us on social media and stay tuned for the next video. God bless.
Bye.